Hey everybody, welcome. Brian from Witch Doctor here. Thank you for tuning in. I have something really cool to show you. I have highlighted in many of my other videos and tests that I've done how critical it is to seat that primer to where that anvil is compressing. That's essentially what primer manufacturers call priming the primer. And so you have to know, the depth of your primer pocket, how high the height of the primer cup, in order to know, okay, just how much do I have to seat it, into that primer pocket in order to get that anvil to get that ideal compression. And so, in order to do that reliably, you have to have a seating tool, a primer seating tool that does not depend on the rim thickness. Okay, so this is another thing. Um, there's lots of brass that have very little variation in rim thickness, and then there's lots of brass that have tons of variation in rim thickness. So, if you have a rim thickness dependent priming tool, your primer seating depths are going to vary depending on the thickness of that rim. Okay, so and I have measured tons of rims. I actually, there is a measure called the RPG tool that Rabbit Hole Precision will be coming out with very soon. That not only measures rim thickness, but also a number of other things: primer pocket depth, primer seating depth, etc. And we'll put a video out on that soon when we start getting that tool out on the market. But for now, I have one right here, sitting right here, and I have my Mitutoyo dial in there, and so you can do that. You can, measure your rim thickness and then sort based on that and adjust your rim thickness dependent tool. To me, that's kind of a pain in the neck, and I don't like I don't like having to have too much stuff to deal with in terms of like, oh, I got to adjust my primer tool for this and that. So I look for tools that are not rim thickness dependent. Okay, and so the ones that I have found out there, in terms of a handheld tool, the Sinclair has a system where it sort of clamps down on the rim and it primes, holding the rim down. So rim thickness doesn't matter. And so I love this tool for that reason. I take it to bench rest matches, loaded matches. I use it at home to load. And then the thing is, though, is I like hand priming tools, but I also, when I'm at the bench, I like to actually have a fixed bench tool, something that's bolted to the bench or held down on the bench really hard. And it just makes it easier for me to go through the operations and prime everything with due speed. And so one tool that I found that does that really well is not rim thickness dependent, is the Lee APC. Now, the unfortunate thing about the Lee is it's discontinued, so you don't really find them anywhere anymore. That's the first thing, so good luck finding it. The second thing is you got to modify it with certain modifications. F-Class John has great videos on how to modify this thing so that it will seat your primer very reliably. Again, it's not rim thickness dependent. It has some sort of system where it clamps down on the case head on the inside, holds it down, and then primes. So it really also gets you incredible consistency with primer seating depth. Now, here is the big thing that's kind of a game changer for me, and I super appreciate this. Todd Criswell has put together an actual tool that will hold your Sinclair or your other, handheld priming tool. In this case, the Sinclair is the perfect one to build this tool for. It literally just drops right in, is held to the bench. Okay, I can drill it, I can put holes, but I just put these clamps in. And so it holds it in steady and tight. And then he also made this little ring here, so you can twist up and down the Sinclair tool that clamps down on the rim. So this, I think, is a brilliant, definitely a very welcomed tool because you get to have this at your bench top, whether you're at home or you're loading at the range. You can easily just clamp it to the bench top. Also, look at the size. The size of it is a third of the size as like the Lee, for example. The Lee, I'm not going to take that to a bench rest match and try to load at the match on a table with this thing. There's kind of no way to really clamp it down. I don't think you really can, actually. But with this, you can. It just clamps down right there. I can clamp it on the table, and then I can perform my seating operations, right there with keeping it in place. I love that at matches too, because, priming tools, when they're out like this, they tend to find their ways around things or fall off the table. But with this thing, bam, it's there. And so just wanted to demonstrate for you sort of how easy it is. So bam, you throw your primer in, you throw this in, you throw your brass in, and then you go ahead and turn it, and then you push in. Done. Okay, turn it out, and there you go. You've got your primer seated, okay? And then you can measure your primer seating depth. Okay, so that's set at about 7.5, 8 thousandths depth. Okay, again, throw your next primer in, grab your next piece of brass, turn it, clamp that thing down, and then bam, seat it. Pull it off. Let's check the seating depth. Yeah, about 7.5 thousandths seating depth. So there you go. I mean, it's a pretty simple tool, but very effective at holding that Sinclair in place and then seating it like that. Bam. Okay. So I'm getting very consistent seating depths with it, as you would expect from the Sinclair, which is not rim thickness dependent. So this tool, essentially, let's pull this out, is this ring here to help you sort of turn this. Makes the turning operation a lot faster and a lot more convenient, easier to do. And then it's just this. It's this shaft and then this sort of seating plate there, where you can drill in, you can mount it to your bench top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to matches and basically clamp it to the table at matches. That way, bam, I can just throw my Sinclair in there and then go priming away right there while something is sitting on the bench. Seems to be a lot smoother and a lot quicker with it mounted to the bench like that, and with this nifty little ring here that is just sort of snugged on to the piece of brass. Yeah, look at that. That's awesome. Yep, very consistent primer seating depths. So anyway, just want to say thank you, Todd. This is a great invention. I'm always interested in innovation and continuing to sort of push the needle on innovation, discovery, mechanisms like this, gadgets that actually work really well, perform a vital function, like making sure that your primer seating depth is very consistent, and just very convenient, being able to just clamp this puppy on to the desk, to your loading top or your table at the range or whatever, or even at home. I mean, I'm just going to leave this thing fixated here at home. And I have two Sinclair tools because I love that it's not rim thickness dependent. One is for a BR cartridge, and then I have another one for PPC cartridge. I can just swap these puppies out that fast, and then get the other one on there, and then just go to town with priming really fast, really convenient. So love it. Thank you so much, Todd. I appreciate it. And everybody, I'm going to go ahead and put Todd's contact information in the description of this video, and hopefully you'll contact him and get yourself one of these, because it's just super convenient. And again, it's nothing like this Lee or other larger benchtop sort of priming tools. If you already have a handheld and you want to be able to just hold it in place and conveniently just be able to use it on your desk benchtop, this is the way to go. It's simple, clean, and nice. So thank you, everybody. Hope you're having a good shooting year, or a good start to the shooting year. And I wish you the best. Shoot small.